Hey, welcome to the Doc Analyzes Anything, the show where science and psychology meet. We analyze human behavior, any behavior, including treating ordinary objects like they have feelings. Sorry, door, that's on me. Then gently close it.
I mean, we did almost a whole episode on naming inanimate objects, and I'm still against it. So we might as well just at this point treat them like they're all sentient beings. They're
This output from this large language model did not tell me the context or like what was done to the door. It just says, "Sorry, door, that was my fault," in quotes. Imagine you
the way,
slammed it too hard.
the way the rest of my family slams the car door. I can see the need to apologize for that. Like,
Yeah.
what I don't know at what point in life that became one of those things that bothers me. Like maybe I've had doors that stopped lining up as well because they were older cars or something, but for some reason I actually get anxious when someone slams a car door, but not like a door in the house. Maybe because I can adjust that easier myself.
Yeah. My daughter's losing her thumbnail. She got her thumb slammed in the car door by another child, and it's like black and blue, and now it's just like kind of barely hanging on.
Oof.
It happened to JMO at the swim lessons one time. His little brother slammed the changing room door.
Did he
I
lose
remember
it?
one. I don't remember. I don't think he lost it completely. I remember one time I was a kid, and my dad shut my hand, like my finger, in the car door, and it actually latched. And they had to like unlock the car and open it. Is that Denny's near our house?
That's scary.
It was painful.
I was driving up north, speaking of talking to objects, and they were redoing the road. I was going through the hilly part because normally that's a fun way to go. And at the bottom of this hill, they did a terrible job transitioning from one to the other. And I hit that thing so hard, and I apologized to my car. I definitely was feeling really bad.
So again, not what we're talking about, but I guess it can, maybe you can find some overlap. Do you think there's something about a car because it turns on, it seems to, like a better term, come alive versus another object which does not turn on or have any function other than what it is in itself, makes it more likely to be treated to and talked to like an animal or a human?
Yeah, I also name my cars, and so there's definitely that additional
That's right.
sentiment and connection with them.
I don't name things. Yeah.
Keep it to yourself, Doc.
I was going to say something about all the different things you name, but I'm not. We won't get into any of that. I remember my cousin when I was younger. She'd gotten a hand-me-down car from my grandparents, and she's like 14 years older than me. And there'd be like a cold day, it just wasn't running quite right, and she's like trying to like coax it and turn it on and running. And I think you can see a little bit more about that versus the door. I'm just thinking about I'm gonna have to adjust that damn door now, or paint that door or something, rather than like treating it like I've actually hurt it.
You remember my Plymouth Sundance? We did some stupid stuff in that
Yeah,
car.
the one that you had to drive backwards. Yeah, I got
that
you.
car I didn't name, and I treated it so terribly. And I have had the thought before, I wonder if I treated it better, if it would have treated me better.
No, you would have treated it better if it was a stick shift, because the reason you treated it poorly is because you treated it like it was a stick shift, but it was not.
I would take it in neutral, rev it all the way up, and then slam it into gear. I was horrible for that car.
Try to get to peel out. The fact that it lasted anywhere near as long as it did, it was shocking.
Man.
All right.
I was always good in my cars. I didn't give them names.
It was a literal horse. That's why.
That more likely to name a horse.
Yeah. I think it's fairly normal to have a horse with a name. If you get it.
Unless you're in a classic America song called A Horse with No Name.
Trying to get out of the rain.
We're doing it, guys.
All right, let's get on topic here. You guys you're wasting everybody's time. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Steven Sparks, your host of the Doc Analyzes Anything, along with my co-host Kyle Suri and Chad Hartung. And today, I think we're talking about something near and dear to Chad's heart, and I mean that quite literally, because I definitely called him out during his wedding for using AI for writing his vows. But yeah, today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. And What do you have to say about yourself, Chad? You here
You
to
know,
defend
my wife
yourself?
cried and she loved it, so it doesn't matter.
And she's probably not listening to this until we just add just this clip
No, I'll
to
yeah,
social media.
once the clips are out, she sees all the clips.
I'll clip
So
it. We'll clip it.
yeah, clip it. So I really did. Chad and his wife asked me to perform their wedding. I was very happy to do so. I don't know if are we putting names out here? We're saying hi, Amy. How's it going?
Way to wait on the answer to the question.
Yeah, I don't care. And I'm pretty sure he said it before this thing about as I was talking about. I'm pretty sure he said maybe just 2 minutes ago said her name even. I don't know. But yeah, it asked me to do it, and like they're reading their vows. I'm like, Chad's a little too smooth on this reading of the vow. Like, so up there in front of everyone after he's done, I'm like, you just had AI do that, didn't you? Just right there during the ceremony for all to hear. So that was very entertaining for me.
Was that a funny accusation, or was there merit to the accusation, Chad?
It absolutely was assisted. Yeah, there's no question. When I found out that we were doing our own, I said, okay, I'm either going to say something totally stupid if it's left up to me, or maybe I can have a little bit of guidance. And the guidance turned into this elaborate thing, and I didn't know better then. I definitely know better now. I would have definitely
To be
tweaked it.
fair, to be fair,
To be fair,
how many years ago was that now? I know we just had your anniversary a week or two ago.
I think we're in year 3.
Okay. So
Yeah, it worked
also
out.
the computer programs have come a long way in this just the last 3 years even. So he probably had to do quite a bit more work back then than you would now. We'll give him some benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah,
Perfect.
my AI agents know me very well now. It would have given me a much different. That's a curious
You should ask it.
exercise to go through.
Yeah.
Your AI agents?
Yeah. Like
Let's do it.
if I were to have them assist me with my vows today, how drastically different might be.
We should do it right now.
No,
Hop on.
No.
that's not going to happen.
All right. So AI, artificial intelligence. You wonder, do people really know what AI stands for all the time? You know what I mean? Like, you'd think they would know it's artificial intelligence, but let's make sure we're talking about it legitimately here. I will say I am more annoyed by the buzzword factor of AI than the actual technology. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stand buzzwords, and it feels like our society as a whole will buy or vote for anything as long as there's like a buzzword to go with it. And so,
What do you mean? But like AI itself is a buzzword?
we'll get into like what it is. Is it true AI?
Let's
Is
get
it
into it now. Let's get into it now.
all right? But
Well, okay, so the technology is real, but the marketing around it oftentimes is very buzzword like, kind of sometimes
Okay.
nonsense.
well,
I mean,
and what?
I experience a lot of businesses that will literally just throw AI powered onto something, and it's just like automation, which is
Yeah,
not AI.
like
Okay.
same with green energy or organic. Like people, yes, now that there's actually ways to prove you have an organic product, but for a long time it was just nope, it's organic, or whatever, like whatever people will buy because you put the buzzword on it. That's what annoys me more than anything is what I'm
Mm.
getting at.
Like it doesn't mean anything. But it
Well,
means
right,
things to
because
people, but it doesn't actually describe what's
because
happening.
what is AI? Like, I know that you know generally what it is. We know how it's being used, but looking at the actual definitions involved, it's hard to see. Do what we have right now? Is it a true artificial intelligence, or is it just machine like learning to the point where it's generative? And is there a difference? So let's give like the example or the definition that IBM has on their website is artificial intelligence is a technology that enables computers and machines to simulate. That's still AI, just a different type of AI. Simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. So what we have right now, you're just taking whatever information's out there, web, wherever, whatever's inputted, giving it a prompt, and it is taking accumulation of this information and giving you the best answer it can based on the information. But is that true creativity? Is it true decision making? Is it true autonomy? And I definitely say we are falling short of autonomy on this one. We cannot say it is looking at like the Turing test.
Mhm.
And Alan Turing, brilliant man, talked about it's never going to be true in artificial intelligence until you are able to have a conversation with it and have no idea that you are conversing with a computer or robot. Like, if you cannot tell the difference, that's when you reach that level. And so we're seemingly on the path there.
Mhm.
But even Merriam-Webster, our good old friend Webby, says that the capability of a computer system or algorithm to imitate intelligent human behavior. And so it's imitating it, but to what extent? Where's the dividing line between here's some generative learning that I can produce an outcome here, and here's a true artificial intelligence? This idea of we've created, and you know how I hate this word, but the mind in a computerized form.
Right.
And
Like
so
Jarvis. That's what we want. I want Jarvis.
Or
I
Ask
want,
Jeeves.
yeah, I want to
When you
go back to Jeeves.
when you said Jarvis, I immediately thought Ask Jeeves, but now I know it. Now I understand the reference.
Iron Man. Yeah.
But I'll pull up is it's a little bit different. NASA has this description, and assuming that the drones have not taken over all of NASA, they just are making maybe some less intelligent decisions. Who knows? Um, Usually, at least historically, you can kind of trust NASA because it's just a bunch of nerds that happen to be funded by the environment out there doing the good work for a lot of society, at least historically. So they show there's actually 3 levels of what we would talk about artificial intelligence. Um, they say that the general use, I'll read it. It says, no single simple definition of artificial intelligence exists because AI tools are capable of a wide range of tasks and output. But an artificial system that performs tasks under varying and unpredictable circumstances without significant human oversight, or can learn from experience and improve performance when exposed to data sets. This is kind of what we're at now. We've
Mhm.
not imitated a human. We have not been able to, even though we have, is it Watson that can beat like any human in chess? Was
There's been a
Watson?
few there's
Yeah,
been a
right.
few
But was that
people who have beat him, but yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
Well, in general, computer systems. I was watching a special on the one where about the young guy who's real cocky and nobody likes him, and like, was he cheating by using anal beads like to beat the grandmasters and stuff like that? It's on Netflix. So he is accused.
Each word was less expected than the previous. I was like,
He
"What's
is
happening?"
accused of beating people he has no business beating by going up against like the number 1, number 2, number 5 ranked chess players in the world
Mhm.
and using vibrating anal beads with somebody like a computer feeding him the moves. So because computers can beat these people, but other people cannot.
It's always the last place you expect to look.
Well, that's the thing is they've gone through every other way to try to find some device that he's using and can't do it. So that's the hypothesis now
Wait,
is
oh, is that just
anal bead.
speculation? Like, they don't even
Yeah, they've never proven it. This, but
like
but he
like, clear
his
this
like
how bad would that feel of like, "No, like, I don't believe enough that you're intelligent enough to pull this off that I'm gonna jump to your hiding vibrating anal beads in your a-hole to make this work."
yeah I I don't know how they came up with this. It'd be a fairly complex system. You think about it, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like Morse code, but internal.
Well, there
It's
it so not quite the same internal Morse code.
It's it is known as the
Uh,
Carlson-Niemann controversy. Magnus
wow,
Carlsen versus Hans Niemann. Yeah.
man.
So this
Um, it
go find it
reminds
on
me
Netflix because
okay.
I don't know if it's really that interesting, except that how shocking the accusations are.
It reminds me of the TV preacher who could like identify people by name and ailment in the crowd, but then they brought in what's his name, the famous like skeptic, skepticist guy. He's still alive. I forget his name.
Oh, I can't remember I don't
Um,
know if they're still alive. I thought the guy that offered $1 million to everybody, I think died.
yeah, yeah. But he went in with like a radio wave deflector and like found out this guy. People filled out cards beforehand with their name and ailments on them, and the preacher would be like waiting for his wife to read the name. He's like, "Oh, there's somebody like Peg, Pammy, Patricia, yeah, and you have cancer, right?" And she's like, "How'd you know?" And, like literally filled it out.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah,
So back, you guys keep. I don't know why you drag me down.
that's kind of like
these,
AI.
I don't know why you're dragging me down this rabbit hole with anal beads, but
I
uh,
don't, I don't like those words strung together.
uh, generally, like we've had these types of programs for quite a while, where they can learn the moves, the processes, and outperform humans. And they,
Mhm.
according to NASA, are saying this is artificial intelligence. But inside that, there's the bubble of machine learning, where there's actually generative learning, if that we're going to call it that, based on taking all the available information and then applying it in a new way or a new situation. And we did the ingenuity talk, and that does mirror what humans do, where you have your repertoire, there's environmental stimuli, it strengthens different responses in different situations. In this case, the prompts occasion these different repertoires that in the computer learning, and then come up with an answer. It may not always be a good answer, but often it's not bad because others out there are doing it. And then,
Machine machine learning's interesting though. It's based solely on reinforcement. Like machines are taught to maximize their points. They get points for shaping close enough to like some sort of like desired response. But I don't know how that works if you maximize points for like novel responses. But I only ever think of machine learning in terms of like a robotic arm, like moving around, but not as much in the way of large language models. But I don't know how to describe it either.
yeah, and then the last step that they have is the deep learning. And this is kind of the neural networks. This is, I think, where we get to, is it actually mimicking human behavior at this point or not? And so, um, it depends on the definition you're going off of. NASA's got a little more broad of a brush and is allowing us to say, yep, no, this is artificial intelligence. Whereas I think IBM and Webby over here, we can discuss whether or not we've actually reached the point of artificial intelligence. But I think that is just gets back to my point about it being a buzzword. As soon as we said, "Hey, we've created artificial intelligence here," and it fit a definition somewhere, now we get to put it on everything. And what's really interesting is when you're typing in on Google, what is, the environmental pitfalls of artificial intelligence, and the AI answer is popping up telling you how it's destroying the environment. So that's interesting.
I I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe I'm giving too much credit, if AI was badged that way to prep society for what is coming as opposed to what's currently here. So we may reach true artificial intelligence pretty darn quickly here, and it may already be available, but it's not unlocked because the power behind it could be really scary. Um, but if it becomes the, you know, household term for it, once it actually is here, then we don't have to transition to a new term. Because really, we're doing like artificial prediction more than anything. And switching from that, it doesn't sound as sexy, but switching from that to actual true intelligence once it actually is here. Because ChatGPT just doesn't wake up and start thinking about itself. It's definitely not in that mimicking human form. But I think we could be there pretty darn quickly. So it could be marketing. It could be marketing to make it
Prep
because there was a
prep
lot of
us
stuff
for the
even in
inevitable.
business. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff even in business that was just automation. So do this because I told you to do this. If this, then do that. That was early days badged as AI, when the reality is it was just an automation that was triggered by your action. But we kind of called it AI, even though that's not really what it was. It was just regurgitating, you know.
Mm,
Well, and that's all this is still, it's just at a much, much more complex level. Like we have now the capability and memory capability to have a much bigger pool to pull these things from and then use basically like if this then this type of process, but with many inputs all together rather than it just being one or two words.
mm.
um I still would say though, I'm not sure if there's any, if I mean, I agree that it's marketing and it may be setting people up. I think you're being a little too optimistic. I think it's marketing in terms of, hey, we can sell these products because we're saying it has AI.
Yeah, and AI doesn't actually know things, right? It doesn't. It only knows what we've given it. So it's more like less like a genius because it doesn't intuitively know stuff, and more like just a super fast intern. Like it just has
Right.
the
Yeah,
information at its disposal.
and I think that's the scary thing to me about it is who's feeding it this information, especially it's set on the web. It's like can take in all the information, and then who and is developing what rules to make sure it's not like based on complete BS. You know what I mean? Like the answers you
Mm.
get, they're gonna take in scientific fact. They're gonna take in people's general, ideas about things, and then a bunch of weird off the wall. Like I saw a video someone posted the other day, and I still don't know why I'm seeing these things, but like how Earth is flat and there's a dome over us, and outside that dome is water. And you can prove this because the way you dip a plate into water and can only see part of it explains the phases of the moon as the moon is dipping into the water in space. And then beyond that is where heaven is. And I'm like,
I like
AI
it.
might be using this information in answering a question, and that's not okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I always wonder. So I've asked it things intentionally before where, at least the LLMs have asked, like, prove that this is happening. And then it's like, well, the scientific conjectures is this. And I'm like, no, 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 find this stuff that really, and then they're like, okay. And I can eventually find what I need to find in order to make
sure,
me
but
happy, essentially,
who's
which is what
who
they,
is doing that? Who's not
well, it's
just
the,
searching it through AI? Hey, help me make this decision rather than actually like, nope, show me the scientific basis for this decision. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's a who though at this point. It's just like
No, no,
the
I'm
conglomeration.
no, I'm talking about the users, the human element that is
Uh,
using this. Not very many
yeah.
people are going to go
Yeah, who's
down as
asking for the
far as you.
citations? Yeah,
Yeah, but no, I agree that it's not a who. Whether it should be or not, I don't know. It's kind of like the along the same lines of I don't know. It's like we've had clients that I have seen who are nonverbal, zero language whatsoever, who were taken by a caregiver to vote, so they would vote for their candidate and give them an extra vote. In this
Yes.
case, it was, yeah, and so at that point, I think we should all kind of agree, like, hey, that's not okay to make someone who has no knowledge or information that they can process on their own vote in a certain way. But where would the dividing line be? Because you certainly wouldn't say someone just because they have a disability shouldn't be able to vote. This is along that same line of reasoning is someone should probably be out there drawing a line somewhere, but who's gonna be the one to draw that line and who's gonna agree where that line should be drawn? You know what I mean? Is you can
Yeah.
just make up all kinds of BS if you flood the internet with it enough. That might be like, hey, there's enough support for this. I'm gonna include it in my answer to something.
Well, and along that line, my thought is, or has been, to everyone's using it on the internet. So everyone's adding output into the internet. So essentially, AI is starting to index itself and reference itself as opposed to, like so far it has the internet, which has been mostly human creation, art, music, whatever, blog posts, like whatever. I'm treading on Chad territory here, but if it starts using itself, eventually all the information becomes already AI generated material. Is it going to dumb down at that point? Are we dumbing down at that point?
I need to start watching more modern movies because I feel like every time I only have old references, but it's like the movie Multiplicity. Like, you ever see what was
Copy
it?
of a copy. Yeah, copy
Yeah,
of a
copy of
copy.
a copy, and every time you make a copy, it doesn't function quite as well. And by the end, like the last person is not functioning well at all compared to the others.
That was a really good movie. Um, I'll tell you, in the top 3 retrieval sources for AI right now is Reddit. And I don't know if you've ever been on Reddit, but it is just people's opinions. And so it is pulling non factual data, and that is what is regurgitating. So if the user is, gosh, I'll just say it. The user isn't intelligent enough to decipher what is or isn't going to do their due diligence. The output is what it is, right? We have people that come to us and I'm writing AI blog articles and they're not performing well. What's wrong? Well, one of the main sources that you're just not babysitting and rewriting is other people who are going onto the internet and just spouting their view of things. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who have true views and have the credibility behind it. They're not going to Reddit. They're publishing articles in, scientific purposes. They're not
Yeah.
doing it in a way where AI is actually retrieving that information. So our current models are also pulling from not really credible sources as well.
Yeah, can it pull from like paywall or
That's
like
what I was
paywall
about to
blocked?
ask. I don't
So
know.
there, no. So here's the thing: there is a way, but the website itself, so like Harvard.edu, has to
Mhm.
allow it to pull from those paywall or hidden pages. So if they are not allowing it, if they're blocking bots from scrubbing that information, which if it's protected, I get the reasoning behind it, that information is not being added to the overall sift
Yeah.
of everything it could pull from.
The universities usually have whatever they're just kind of viewable. Like, obviously, you're not gonna get all the classroom materials, but
Yeah.
articles and stuff. But, like, Springer is who publishes almost all of the behavior analytic journals, and there is a paywall there, and so if they're not allowing it, now we know there are behavior analysts. I'm not gonna make too much of a suggestion of how good they are, but I'll say I question the decisions they might be making, but for designing full behavior plans based on what AI is telling them to try to do. And that is
Mhm.
based on what other companies are doing and putting out there in their blogs or their discussions, not from the research itself, if it's behind a
Yeah.
paywall then. And that's problematic. And we'll get
That
into
goes back to my point though of
yeah.
like we dumb down as a society once we start referencing AI. AI is referencing itself essentially at that point.
Did you get your copy of
I
Multiplicity?
tried to find it, I couldn't find it, but I did find Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, so I thought that was
That's
kinda cool.
it might as well that's like the exact same thing, you know.
I know it's over there. I do have that on VHS over there. There's like 300 tapes just sitting there in a box because 'cause we're moving downstairs, but I couldn't find it.
No,
I also found Scarface.
nice.
That was like high school.
I'd mentioned,
Everybody watched Scarface.
sorry, Steve. I did mention Reddit, but also AI is pulling from YouTube, which has a lot of valuable content. The
And
transcripts
and
of YouTube,
and
essentially,
trash
and
content.
trash.
But
Yes,
hey, maybe
there's a
they'll
lot of
pull
trash.
from us. Who knows?
We are
Yeah,
on
I
Um,
YouTube.
mean, listen, the transcripts are available, and it is pulling from business websites who are putting whatever information out there. So, yes, if businesses start writing blog posts based off AI and AI is then regurgitating itself, it would multiplicity AIs and become dumber.
so
I think that's
go ahead,
plausible.
Kyle. What were you gonna say? If assuming you're on the same track,
Oh, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it is the same track. I forget the author. He's a science fiction author. I was just listening to on an interview on NPR yesterday. But he was talking about how it's the first time in history, like that we're pretty openly as a society, like willingly giving someone else our voice. Like
yeah,
when I'm working, I have the option of saying I don't want to do this. I'm going to let something else do it, and I'm going to put my name on it.
yeah.
And I feel like I feel like no good can inevitably come of that for
We'll talk about
society.
some of the dangers here in a minute. Let's still talk about like
Let's talk about it now.
let's talk about the scientific
That,
theory
that's the
underpinnings
theme of the
here
day.
first.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not jumping ahead yet. Um, so we've just discussed based on the definition, this is should be mimicking or basically designing human-like behavior in computers. It's not even just mimicking, but it is creating the same sort of processes in thought and that sort of thing. Is this truly an issue? Because if you we look at it, humans are doing the same thing. There's, probably I'm making up the numbers here, but like 30% are out there spewing BS that they make it up on the spot because they think they're smarter than everybody else.
Mhm.
Um, 40% are like, let's listen to the people who we think experts are, and then 20% are the experts or whatever that actually know what's going on in these fields. Um, is it really a problem then if we're developing these systems that everybody's information is taken into account and so it mimics what we see in society, even though it may not be what we want to see in society? You know what I mean? Like it, I think it probably is an issue because you're taking a conglomeration of all this information and spitting out one answer rather than here are the different views on it and here are the experts and here are the if it shared some of that more, maybe it wouldn't be as big of a deal. um but it does mimic human behavior the way that kind of we're trying to mimic human behavior here, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't know if I have follow-up because I have to
I
ponder on that.
I'll say though, do we really think human behavior is the best model? Like, I know we humans like to think highly of ourselves, like, "Oh, we're the smartest animal because we have language." But is there, like, not a better model? Not s Is there not a better way to do it so it's better than humans are? You know what I mean? That it surpasses our abilities rather than trying to copy them?
Step one would be mimicking our top performers, right? And I think I think
Yeah.
it's a trick, but I think AI does that where it communicates the way the intelligent humans would, because it's really good at summarizing. So it's really good at finding all the information and then summarizing the information, right? So I think that it does communicate. I think you said 20%, what the top 20% would have said. Um, but
I don't know if
is there
what they
is
would have said, they probably the way
how they
they
would
would
have
have
said it,
said it.
how they
Yeah,
would have said it, yeah.
yeah.
Um, so like if a dog suddenly started speaking perfect English, we'd be like, that's an intelligent animal. And that's kind of what AI is doing. It's just mimicking, and we're saying, oh, it's so great.
And I'll give you my answer too, because I'm gonna almost disagree with myself here. I do not think that human behavior is necessarily what we should base everything on, because I think humans think too highly of their own abilities, was- so to say. But
What would you base it on, though?
that is the thing, is all we have that we would call intelligent and different levels of intelligence, but is animal behavior that we have experienced. All of that behavior falls into our laws of behavioral science. Therefore, how would you even develop a model not based on all of the knowledge we have on what intelligence is? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have another frame of reference. There's not other life forms out there that we've encountered that have different types of intelligence or a different way of processing things, and so we don't have another model to base this off of. I'm just saying there's probably something better that we just don't have a reference for. That's all.
Yeah, like, even like, like, was it David who we had on the show a while ago talking about, like, the, ant colony communication? Uh, and the now I'm gonna botch this, but something about how we would be a lot more efficient as a society, and even technology would be more efficient if it could just harness the ability to communicate in the way that ants communicate within a colony.
I mean, with like pheromones and stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
I thought it sounded smart. Perfect.
Yeah.
We're leaving it in.
Did you hit the ejectocito button?
Yeah. And oh man, his internet issues just befuddle me. I don't understand what's going on in that house. How you can have Wi-Fi, but it like doesn't work ever.
But it's not like this is a new thing. He's been
No,
living with
for
this scenario for
years.
years.
I'm leaving all this in.
Oh, okay. We were blaming your ISP for that one,
We just ripped on you for like 20
but nope, it
seconds.
was
no,
human.
it was literally this is on my lap and it slides between my legs and fell off. So
Go on.
yeah, what was I saying again?
I don't
If
know.
dogs
I
spoke perfect English.
No, the animals,
the ants.
pheromones. I don't know.
Indiana Jones
Anyway,
and the Temple of Doom.
right. Uh, anyway, so if we are going to design this though, and we're saying the only reference we have is human behavior, why wouldn't we
If we're gonna
actually bake
design AI.
AI?
Okay.
Yes. If we are going through this process, we are allowing computers to just take in all the information and then regurgitate a combination of that based on the prompts. The same way humans might be it's like ingenuity or uh creativity. That is basically the process of human creativity is to take in the information around you and apply what you already know to a new situation or slightly change the behavior in that repertoire in the same situation so it's more efficient, more effective, more beautiful, what have you. Um, but that is a very small part of behavioral science. If we look
Mhm.
at trying to truly design a machine learning that mimics human behavior, we should take into account, what we've talked about before with motivating operations, the changes in the environment that changes motivation for certain behavior and certain outcomes, or discriminative stimuli like how an object in the room might occasion a response because it's signaling the availability for reinforcement.
But I would
Um,
say AI has some MOs like MOs put into it in that it wants to make the user happy and keep the conversation going forever,
it-
right? Like it
and
never like says, okay, cool, like good talk. It's always like, I can help with
right,
this too.
yeah, and an SD, discriminative stimulus, like you are talking about, you put in the prompt is the occasion for which that response would be reinforced. But what I'm saying
Mhm.
is, if we have truly made an artificial intelligence that is working autonomously without the prompt from the user, it is truly a artificial intelligence that is acting on its own accord, the way that we've talked about it being that highest level, then it will need its own motivating operations. It will need its own discriminative stimuli. It will need its own history of reinforcement versus history of punishment to come out and to determine what behavior will happen in what instance, not just a combination of all the stimuli and then, an output.
Yes. Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, I'm curious of a simplistic version of what that would look like because what I'm going to is like, um, let's say I've got all my clients and I need to know what their data looks like. And it just knows that this is something that should be displayed. And then it provides me with how to make adjustments so that it performs better, but without prompting. That's like the default of what I'm thinking about. But it would still require some sort of input from me to know it is doing right or it isn't doing right, right?
If you were talking about in terms of what it is and how it is used right now, what we're talking about is like iRobot, sentient being, this thing is
Mm.
out here making the decisions and furthering our technology and taking care of issues without us even having to know that the issue is coming up yet because it's 10 steps ahead of us.
But that would involve
Yeah.
what you're saying would involve it learning, developing a learning history, and therefore behavior being selected, not an original creator, not to
Right.
make it sound religious, but like it's got prompts that humans put into it. It's got programming that's been put into it that makes it the MOs there. Like it is motivated to do something, quote unquote. It's not actually motivated, but it's
Right.
actually it chooses what it says based on some pre-programmed
Yes, you
hints that it's given. It hasn't said like, "Hey, I've grown and now I feel like this is important." Not
right. No, it would be you program in this type of relation between the stimuli, the environment, and learning histories, and then provide it with the learning histories up to a whatever point you want to. It's the same way we would teach children, as early learners, the multiple exemplar trainings. This is good, this is bad. You may not be able to define good and bad, but we can say societally, this is what people this is group of things here is what people would talk to about as being good. This is bad. You still need that, but also in the context of if we really wanted to mimic human behavior, how humans are affected by other things in the environment. And I mean, even just the schedules of reinforcement. Is it, continuous? Is it ratio? Is it interval? Like those change how behavior occurs in the moment. It will never feel like truly seem humanistic where it's completely undistinguishable until it is behaving in those ways. And maybe that's what I mean. Like, is that even necessary? Is that even
Mhm.
important? Maybe not, but it wouldn't necessarily hit that highest level of what artificial intelligence is if humanistic behavior is the goal line.
Right. Right. Man, I'm reading this book right now called Unworld. It's a fiction book, but in this universe, people can get basically copies of themselves put on a chip, implanted into their bloodstream, into their brain, and it just like enhances their world in that this computerized version of themselves, which is exactly them, can like I can read a book or I can look at my computer screen and like look at whatever I'm focusing on. But then my upload, I'll be like, hey, wait, what did it say like in my peripheral when I wasn't really focused on that. Like and then it recalls and tells them like, it just enhances their recall and memory, but then can also like have conversations with them. But the interesting thing is that the uploads start to develop their own learning history and their motivations start to split from what their humans that they're implanted into have or the humans get bored or like feel like their uh privacy is being invaded even though it's themselves because this person essentially becomes a new person that has
Yeah.
access to all their memories and all their thoughts, but it does a good job at least of saying what could potentially happen if something like that were to occur and accounting for individual learning history in terms of like determining future behavior.
Yeah. I mean, that's sounds a lot like whenever we see a cartoon that's like the goofy version of when there's multiple clones or multiple versions of the same person. I
Hmm.
mean, at that point, you're almost like having the infinite universes, parallel universes, like different versions of the same person, that sort of thing. Or like when Bender copies himself and then he can't control himself because they're all slightly different, or all Bender who doesn't listen to anybody. So,
Which I was watching
um,
Doug last. I showed the kids Doug, the cartoon from Nickelodeon. I didn't realize that was what's his name, uh, Fry,
what is it?
uh, who's Ren and Stimpy. But I'm Bill. Why am I
I don't,
spacing his
I'm
name?
horrible with names. I am horrible with
Bill.
names.
Oh, now I gotta look it up because I forget his name. Anyway, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
no, like even like Rick and Morty, like how if they
Billy
were all
West.
identical, if they were all identical, all the Ricks would agree, but they all kill each other because no one agrees because they're all slightly different versions of themselves. So,
The Council of Ricks.
right,
Billy
um,
West is from Detroit.
really,
There you go.
I
There you
want
go,
to know
guys.
your I want to know your thoughts on something. We're at a time societally where we have information like for free. Like you can Google it, you can YouTube it, you can hop on an AI engine, and I'm trying not to drop brand names, and just you have access to all types of information. And obviously you still have to do a little bit of critical thinking to find out, does this seem credible or does it not, right? If you're doing your due diligence. What is the future of like the college education look like with this?
That was one of my ending points, but we can jump to it if
Sorry.
you want. No,
My
it's
bad.
just like that is that is like there are hurdles and negative points to all of this. You know what I mean? And regardless, it is here to stay at this point, I think, unless there's some breakdown in the performance of it and people stop using it because it stops being reinforcing to use. It's going to be
Mhm.
very hard to get people to stop using it. And so we'll get into the environmental impact and that sort of thing, but the fact that they're having trouble determining if students are actually learning the material or just using AI to answer questions in papers is a major concern. Um, I would say the breakdown of human knowledge is probably to me the number one most dangerous, part of this where it could go. If you think about how spell check has ruined our ability to spell, and like
Mm.
through a series, like before you had computers readily available for everyone, everybody just had to know how to spell, otherwise it was gibberish. And then with computers, it's like, all right, I'm relying on some, but I'm still not using it all day, every day, as much as I'm writing other things. And so I still have to know how to spell pretty well. And my own ability to spell, I was quite good at spelling throughout school. And now that my phone corrects it for me, and I don't even have to bother trying to remember how to spell things anymore, it's gone out the window. And so it's going to affect everybody if they start relying on it, even if they have a learning history. But if you never learn it in the first place and you're just relying on these tools, it really will just be a society of the dumb because we don't have any information that is in us
Well,
anymore.
maybe dumb in comparison to previous years or generations, but well, even with the spell check thing you said, so when was the last time that you needed to spell something accurately, didn't have the technology to back it up, so you were then made a fool? Like that's not the case because you're typing an email or writing a paper or drafting a text message, and it's always there as a tool to assist you.
Mhm.
To an
Got it.
extent, but I will say sometimes my attempt is so bad that I can't even get the right suggestion to fill in the blank.
Okay, but
And
maybe your
so
yeah, but maybe
if we're
your
talking
horsepower of
about
your what if your horsepower of your brain is being allocated to something that is more substantial rather than thinking about spelling? So maybe you're still contributing to society in a greater way.
it's not like a computer. It's not like you have so much CPU that you can spread across different places. You may be distracted and then you're not thinking about the task at hand, but it's not like you have like, yeah, limited CPO that you're allocating places. What I'm saying is if we go down this rabbit hole so far that we don't even understand the basics of the science that we're asking about anymore, we're just like, how does sunlight work? What feeds the plants and keeps us warm,
Yeah.
cool? Like, if we go so far down and so far back that we're going to lose a lot of what's there available to us, even though is we're not relying on it teaching us, we're relying on it filling in the blanks.
Yeah, we're already seeing this in generations. Even Gen X is more willing to ask a question than look up or try and troubleshoot themselves. And then Alpha is also taking that even to a further extreme to where they're not even asking other humans. Now they're asking technology to fill in the blanks. So there's zero due
Mm.
diligence involved. And then they're just relying on that as fact. We're already seeing that generationally. Millennials were probably the last, man, I might get canceled for this. We're like one of the last critical thinking generations that we had because we could leverage technology, but we also still knew that we had to do our due diligence.
It I don't know if you can really put a label on it to that extent, but I will say that I know a lot of millennials that can't think either. So,
Yeah,
um,
there's a lot of
but
across the
But as a
board.
whole though,
Yeah.
yeah, no, as a whole, I think there's a difference from what I'm seeing. And again, this is just what you see out there being put out in society and the pitfalls that get brought up. But I do see where I use the internet to learn things, others are using it to make their life easier and replace the need to learn things. And so maybe it will still be those people that find knowledge reinforcing versus the people that just want to get the answer and get out the door. You know what I mean? It could be select itself that way. It's possible, but we also know that without that added reinforcement of knowing stuff being extremely rewarding, then we're going to just go down the pathway of whatever takes the least amount of effort. And
Mm.
just having a computer tell us the answer would be that. And so we could end up in 5, 10,000 years from now. We're like, oh, we're having this issue. Computer tell us, and like we wouldn't know if it's telling us the right thing or not because we don't have the basis of knowledge anymore. Whereas if we want to survive millions of years as a species, then we probably need something like a true AI that can go in there and invent and go above and beyond what we've been able to do as humans, thus far. You know what I mean? Like we've said it at the end of the first couple episodes, the Earth will eventually be swallowed by the sun. The sun will eventually go into its next phase, and it will be too hot to sustain life on Earth. We would have to find life, like a planet that can sustain life or a orbiting system that can sustain life outside of this planet for our species to continue long term, even if we don't destroy it ourselves in the first place. And a
But
truly,
that's a long time away, though.
yeah, a long time away, but a truly generative computerized program that can already outthink us when it comes to, chess could come up with solutions that are viable, probably much better or much faster than humans could, as long as we can trust them. But the idea of in the you know moving forward, what if we'll be able to trust them, whether they'll have other motivations to kill us off, what have you. That's going to be the question here with like all your um what are the it's not utopian, dystopian books and
Yeah,
stories and that sort of thing.
yeah, yeah. Even like
um
companionship, though. I mean, and people are using like getting married to these things, like,
yeah,
and again, these are anecdotal. Everything's anecdotal, but
that that's probably a bit of another episode too, because it's partially the fact that we are becoming more lonely as a species and having less interaction with one another, becoming more isolated. um and then partially because the breakdown in societal rules, the need to copulate and increase the numbers of our society to survive has decreased too. And so the societal rules about back in the day, you just basically force someone's dad to give them like your wife to you based on like how much you could pay him, versus now you're not, it's inappropriate to just approach someone randomly in the bar who may not want to be approached. You know what I mean? We've gone a long way on how companionship even occurs. And so that's more of a change at society level and the technology being available as well. But we definitely, I mean, it's great for like translation. It's great to be able to go somewhere, have it in real time translate for you and be able to communicate with people you wouldn't be able to, and to
sure.
help people get services or care that they wouldn't be able to do in other times. um right now everybody's mostly concerned about the environmental impact, and that is a concern, but it seems like there are ways to go about it, at least in theory, to prevent it from being an environmental like issue. We're just not doing those things.
Mm,
Like the grid issue, the fact that we're still using fossil fuels instead of, you know, renewable energies to power these things, that would go a long way to prevent that from being an issue. And the water usage, everybody's concerned about it. As far as I can tell, the water is not going away. It's just evaporating, moving somewhere else. And so you're going to have localized water scarcity, or it goes into, the oceans, which are already rising. And then it's salt water. So it's not as usable. But they're using technology to recapture the evaporated water, letting it
Yeah.
cool and then re-enter the system. There are other coolants, which I don't know what their environmental impact is, but you can have it encased, surrounded in by a coolant rather than
Yeah.
using up the water and keep it cool that way. There are other options here that maybe people wouldn't be so afraid of having these data centers near their home, other than how ugly they are, if those options were being used, but they're not being used. And so there is the giant environmental impact that we have to get beyond. Otherwise, we're going to kill ourselves off far before we have to worry about it saving us in the future anyways.
One of the largest companies that's doing data centers is net positive on the water usage. So not only are they not consuming more than what the area around them needs, they're actually contributing back to it. it's out there. Some are using it. It's just there wasn't any regulation or requirement to begin with. And so a lot of the ones in the early stages did not have that requirement and definitely weren't thinking about it.
And that's all we see nowadays is people fighting. And from all, it's funny, that's the one thing they can agree on both sides of the aisle is we don't want your data centers in our neighborhood sort of thing. And I can definitely understand that, but I don't think there's even enough understanding of how the water is used, what happens to it, or anything for people to disagree or agree with one another the way they do at this point. They're just out there like, yeah, we don't want this at our house because kind of like the cell phone towers, like, oh, it might kill us. We don't know. And
Yeah,
we don't want to learn about it. We just want to not have
yeah,
it
we
here.
got over that pretty quickly. In general, but we
There's
so
still
there's
lawsuits near us all the time about phone tower too near to a school.
well, that's a different topic. There is a development company that is allowing homeowners to purchase they're like micro data centers, and they're think of it like the size of a generator on your house, and it is plugged in for data and it's plugged in for power. And what they're doing is paying the homeowner back offset from its usage, and then the homeowner has direct access to that model directly there. So imagine a neighborhood of 350 houses, all with micro data centers that are all connected together. It's the equivalent of a big data center without the scary part of it or the taking up a lot of
Mm.
space part of it or the issue about contribution. Um, and it's currently being tested. And so far the feedback is pretty good. It's no louder than like the AC compressor on your house. So it does have some hum to it, but nothing bonkers. So far that concept is going pretty well. And it's only net positive contribution back, both the usage. Like if somebody's against the data center, they should probably not have a chat GPT subscription, right? If you're going to complain about something, don't also be part of the problem. And that's not the case. Oftentimes the people who are, up in arms about it are also utilizing the benefits of what they're
Mhm.
kind of against or protesting.
I think a
It's
lot
the
of
point
the
of
I heard a lot of the some like town hall talks where some of the politicians or town council or whatever are saying like we're already, even if we don't use ChatGPT, we like if I go use my debit card, it's using these data centers already. Like I think there's a lot of assumption that it's just here to stay, which may be true, but that the data centers are inevitable because everything that I do that involves computers is now basically contingent on these things existing.
yeah, you can, and there's other ways to do it. You can build them taller so it's not taking up the land the way people don't like it. Although then you have the eyesore in the sky. Regardless, these things are either going to save us or be the end of us, depending on how we approach this. I mean, if we use ways that do not destroy our ability to survive, such as, adding to the climate change or taking up all the local drinking water, those things, then we should be just fine. But at the same time, we may need this type of technology even to learn how to do that in a sustainable way. Like every time we see environmental scientists making a change, trying to help one area, that they don't see the domino effect where like 20 other things get negatively affected, down the line. Like you could easily say, like, oh, let's build these under the ocean, but then what effect would that have on the warming of the ocean and that sort of thing? Like that we either are going to survive or not, and trying to do things the way that makes the most sense, such as using renewable energy and recapturing or reusable coolants, are probably going to be the only way to go about it so it doesn't just destroy us. And then maybe we can learn enough in time to save ourselves. So you're muted. Why'd you
Yeah.
mute yourself?
There was a dog barking. I said we solved it. We fixed it.
That seemed like a why are you hitting yourself type of thing.
Why
Why
are
you
you
hitting
hitting
yourself?
yourself, huh?
Why are you hitting yourself? Are we good?
We did it.
We down there?
I think we
Yeah.
solved it.
All right. Well, if that's the end, let's end on even more positive note. That seemed like 50-50 positive. Could be the end of us, could save us, who knows? But try to look to the positive things out there. It's not a chilly weekend. It's dry and nice and perfect for going to let the kids play at the playground or go for a bike ride. It's uh, not that your team is losing the World cup, but hey, they made it there in the first place. So let's enjoy that. I don't know how the Americans are doing currently when this comes out, but
Colombia won last night. Got to say that.
I know, yeah, the U.S. did very good in their first game, so there's that. Of course, other issues and atrocities going on and problems involved in all this, but let's not think about those. Let's look at the positivity of it all, and just be careful out there because you never know when technology allows you to start creating and cloning yourself to make life easier, but all of a sudden those things are getting in your head and arguing with you, or uh, even worse, you do it to the point where the clones are cloning themselves, and then eventually nobody knows what the real you is, but none of it's functioning that well anymore. So be careful out there.
Oh, and it's like one of those scenarios where you have to shoot one of them, and you don't
Yeah.
know who's the real one.
Yeah.
Like, but what about when we were 3 and
I'm
we
the real
were
one.
outside?